Welcome back to Cherry Picking Fantasy Hockey Podcast presented by Owner's Box. Today, special day. We obviously had the reaction mock draft, but we're giving you guys an actual live mock draft. Big shout out to Avery Chenier, producer. He will be joining us as well. Won't be on camera, right? We got to give props to the people who aren't on camera, but he will be joining us. And shout out to our sponsor, Manscaped. Shave your balls with them. You won't regret it. Code BOX, free shipping, and 20% off. Okay, we're in the draft screen here. I will be drafting 6. This is a 12-man points league. Drew will be drafting. When are you drafting, Drew?
I'm 3rd overall pick, and I believe Brody is the 11th overall pick.
Yeah, I picked 11th slot. Not sure why I did that, but I'll be 11th for this one. And we got Avery going 2nd here.
All right. Let's see who's getting picked here first overall. Tough decision, eh, boys?
Tough one.
I don't know why it's not auto drafting, but I guess it will after the. Oh, there we go.
Here comes Avery here with the 2 slot.
Okay, 3rd overall here. McDavid and Draisaitl went 1-2.
Mm-hmm.
I think the clear 3rd overall pick is Nathan McKinnon, so I'm going to take him here.
I like that pick, Drew.
Yeah, I think what we're seeing so far, even from the first mock draft we did, there's not really much change in the first 2 rounds so far. Like guys are moving up 1 or 2 in ADP, but it's staying relatively consistent. No, and that's the key big 4. I think almost every league starting McDavid, Draisaitl, McKinnon, Kucherov.
Yeah. I'd be a bit worried with Kucherov at 4, to be honest. I'd rather take someone with a bit higher floor because you can't win in the first round, but you can lose it in the first round. And if he's going to get injured.
And so if you're not taking Vasilevsky, who are you going there?
I went Pasta there with 6.
Probably.
I think that he's a little undervalued this year, to be honest. A lot of people have him at like 9-10 slot. I like him at 6.
Matthews, Pasta, and Marchand.
Yeah, who's got?
You all have all above? Yeah.
Not all above, but I would consider
You consider all of them,
yeah.
Okay.
It's not a clear 4 is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they have Matthews ranked sort of low here on Yahoo.
Well, the only thing with Matthews, and I'm a Leaf fan, obviously just won Rocket Richard, issues in the past staying healthy and then having wrist surgery a few weeks ago where they were saying he should be good to go at the beginning of the year, but there is some injury worry there compared to some of these other top guys. But goes 9th overall.
Brad Marchand.
So for me, it's not really a reach. He's 13.4 the ADP, but I'm going Cal McCarr. I think he's just kind of, from what we saw last year, I mean, he did have an injury, but he separated himself in that pool of defensemen. So I have no issue taking him and kind of locking him in and getting points from a position that, other people are going to have a tough time on defense, making that up.
Going defense heavy is definitely the best strategy in fantasy hockey.
Yeah.
Ovechkin goes 12. He's been sort of a talking point right now about if he's going too high, especially at his age.
He's a tough one for me just because, eventually you're not going to fall off a cliff, especially if you're a guy like an Ovechkin, but there is going to be a downturn.
I love Ovechkin. I've always been a massive Ovechkin fan.
At that ADP, though, like at 12?
Here's my issue. There's a conspiracy theory out there, guys, that he is actually older than his age.
Drew, what are you reading? What are you reading?
I've been on a conspiracy episode, Drew.
I've been on this conspiracy.
I'm picking
for a
Mitch
while.
Marner. I'm shutting Drew up. I'm picking Mitch Marner. I like top 10
you just
performance
stated
of
that
this year.
Alex Ovechkin lies about his age.
Okay, so there's been multiple Russian players have been caught with this in the past.
Do you think he's older or younger?
I think he's a couple years older than he's saying.
No.
Maybe. I don't think so, but it's a possibility,
Like
and
he
that
might
scares
be
me a little
40.
bit in the first round of your fantasy draft.
So love Ovechkin. You don't like him at 12 because he might be 40.
So Huberdeau goes before Barkov here. That's been a big talking point. Someone in the comments, I love the passion, right? He chirped saying that it's not even close. It's Huberdeau over Barkov. I think it's really based off preference. Like, you can't just tell me that you really think Huberdeau is going to outperform Barkov.
I think Huberdeau is getting a bit of a bump just being left wing compared to center and the scarcity compared to center, but it's a pick 'em.
Yeah. I am going to go here, the guy that I was preaching of. I'm going to go Barkov here.
Oh, damn, I want a Barkov in 2 picks.
I do love that in the mid-second round. That's pretty much where he's going right now.
Okay.
Zibby.
It's a little early, but I like Zibanejad. I'd be reaching for him to a few spots there.
Definitely a high ceiling.
I'm just high on New York this year. like as a whole, that whole kind of anyone slotting in their top 6, I think has value.
Okay, so I think this pick, I'm on the clock now here in the second last pick in the second round. I start with Mckinnon. I think the clear pick here is John Carlson.
You love John Carlson.
I really like John Carlson, and I'd like to take at least one D in the second or third round. And I have him as the second D after McCarr. So
Avery goes Adam Fox. It'll be interesting how he rebounds after having a very good season last year.
Yeah, I don't know if there's been that consistency to show that he's definitely a top D yet. But
Brady to Chuck, second round.
He's been going, right around there over and over.
I think.
Whoa.
Kaprizov, the guy we were talking about.
Am I back on the clock?
I can't. I just
I don't like it. I don't like it. Avery's celebrating over here. Not a fan of that pick.
I just still can't. Giving up.
He's gonna play, yeah. But I mean, he's Russian. He might be lying about his age.
Yeah.
According to Drew over here.
I'm going to go some high ceiling here and take Steven Stamkos. If he plays the whole season, he's worth a first round pick. You like that pick, Jeremy?
I'm not a huge fan of the pick. I'll be completely honest.
Okay. I was gonna go Kaprizov, and that kind of hurt. So.
No, I feel like.
Do you like Stamkos?
No, I feel like Point has kind of taken that first line center where I think
I would take Point over Stamkos.
And I wouldn't take Point in the first round. So.
All right,
we'll see. We'll see if he stays healthy. We have to keep track of this as the year goes. The very early one.
Okay.
Couple options here I'm looking at. I do really like. I could do the stack with Bergeron. Pacioretty, I think that he's very undervalued. I'm going to go Pacioretty. I like that he plays on the left wing, which is nice.
Was that part of the decision at all, just since you have a center and right wing already?
Yeah, no. I mean, like, if I'm going to see it, like, I'll take the best guy on the board, but obviously there's so many good centermans out there that it was good. Like, obviously having the good wingers is... Also, Victor Hedman, I really did consider.
Yeah, and then he just went after.
The only thing I worry about defensemen is, like, Yossi went really early last year, and I took a lot of shares of him. And, like, I think there's a bigger safety net with picking a forward than picking a top defenseman that could, like, Yossi was a complete disappointment to all
that's
managers.
even end of first round. I think, like, the defensemen that have gone now, like, McCarr, Carlson, Fox, Hedman, are kind of where that safety net starts to end a little bit. Like, you wouldn't be shocked if any of the other guys regress a little bit necessarily. You can still have great years, don't get me wrong, but I love DeBrincat. I think it makes sense at this ADP. I'm a big fan. He fell a little bit to me in this draft that we're doing here, I think so.
Good pick.
I like DeBrincat.
So
goals in a points league.
Are you planning on going centers later? Is that sort of
and that's a lot of what I was just going to get to. So I think a few teams, like my general strategy going into the year, some of these older teams that are, the stars are considered older, like Kane on Chicago or Pittsburgh or even Washington. I don't mind those guys. I don't love Ovechkin in the first round, but until I don't see it from those guys, I'm comfortable taking them. And I think a lot of the times the ADP starts to fall just because people are expecting, the team not to be so great.
Yeah, I agree.
Looking here, kind of running out of time on the clock. I don't love the goalies here. He doesn't have as much upside, but I think gives a bit of safety. It's Mark Stone.
Nice.
And again, gets me kind of filling out the wings, knowing that there's a lot of depth at center, obviously, and you can kind of fill in with some top 6 centers later on in the draft, as you'll see as we keep going.
This 10-second delay per auto pick is a real killer.
I know it's interesting how Yahoo does that, but Frederik Andersen, I think 4th round is so high for that, personally.
Way too high.
Yeah, I think we've all kind of said you can wait on goalies and still find some value later on.
It'll be interesting if Hellbuck actually continues to go in the 3rd round, considered where he went last year.
Yeah. Falling a little bit. I think he's still in that top tier just because he's going to play, but...
I am going to potentially look at picking up my first defenseman here. I'm going to go with... I don't really love the defenseman, but I'm going to go with Dougie Hamilton.
You can see my cue here, Jeremy. Sniped me.
Now he's considered me of cheating, but no, Dougie Hamilton... He's playing on New Jersey this year. It should be interesting, guys. He should get plenty of playing time. That New Jersey team is young. I don't think they're going to be very good this year.
No, I'm in the same boat, and it's tough, but I still get the value behind Hamilton.
I definitely would rather have Hamilton over Ekblad.
Yeah.
Like that's what kind of.
And Ekblad's up just because people are higher on Florida, but
yes.
I mean, Hamilton's just in a more offensive role in New Jersey.
So I am on the clock now. I'm looking to take another defenseman. I think I'm going to go here with Roman Josi. I think Roman Josi is going to have a bit of a bounce back year this year with Nashville.
Was that a little off the board? I didn't
No.
see any. No, he was right there.
Do you think that Nashville will be good this year?
I think Nashville will be a borderline playoff team. Probably just missed the playoffs, and he is their power play quarterback and number one offensive defenseman. So I like a bounce back this year from Roman Josi. I mean, only 8 goals last year, but
I do like the bounce back. I think that he definitely is a bounce back candidate this year.
Right back to you.
Right back to me. I'm going to go with another defenseman here, and I'm going to go with Seth Jones of the Chicago
And so, Drew,
Blackhawks.
I've realized we both, even in talking, kind of look at it the same with defensemen, where if you have 4 slots, you can kind of load up here and get value with forwards later, right?
Yep. So there's so many forwards in that 125 to 200 ADP range that could get 50 to 60, maybe even 70 points. The defenders, you got to get the best ones early. That's what differentiates your lineup for sure.
All right, so I'm up here. I am going to go with a speedster. I'm going to go with Barzal.
Don't hate that. I don't hate that. You're getting all the good players on maybe not so great offensive teams.
In plus minus leagues, I'm actually Pacioretty and Pasternak would pretty much drive. Actually,
you're fine there. I think it's just I meant Hamilton and Barzal.
Yeah, Hamilton,
not offensively inclined teams, but
you definitely don't want someone plus minus who's getting minus 30. Just absolutely destroys the team in a plus minus league.
No, definitely not this early. You don't want to. When there's so many options still out there that can perform, just the same offensively, it's not worth the risk.
Fleury here goes. A couple goalies are going here in this round. I might look to target a goalie in the next round.
Yeah, and I'm looking. I'm still not necessarily liking the goalies I'm seeing here. I don't really like anyone who's available. You'll see kind of in the next few picks. I'm kind of the guys 10 to 20 ADP from here are, more where I'm going. I guess the homer pick here, you're going to need goalies eventually. I'll take Jack Campbell.
Good pick. Jack Campbell should be taking that one spot in Toronto.
Well, that's the thing, right? So if you're looking, regardless of how they do in the playoffs, if they are still typically a top 10 team regular season, he's the number one guy.
I'm worried about Mrazek taking more starts than people think, to be honest. But
yeah, I could see that.
The issue is,
the win should
I'm a
be
late
there.
goalie guy. So
Yeah.
The win should be there.
the wins are definitely a great thing.
Then still a little bit of a reach. I still think the ADP is too low on Darnell Nurse. He's a guy we talked about earlier. He's down to 68.9 in Yahoo's system. I'm a fan this year. I'm a fan of Edmonton this year compared to others, so get Darnell Nurse. He might not be the power play quarterback, and I mean, I picked before Barry, which you could argue Barry had more points last year, but I think both are great options.
Yes. Carey Price.
So what are you guys looking for? Are you trying to get just 2 goalies in Keitham, or are you trying to get a third for safety? With how the year's playing out in the tandems, what are you thinking there?
I want one rock and then sort of just play it almost go last 3 rounds, get another goalie. I really do think based off how it worked last year, the committees and stuff, the Wire had so many gems for goalies.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I'm up here.
I love that Eichel pick by the computer, by the way. I just want to point that out. His ADP right now, I have him written. It's 81.8. Picked him 66. But I think if you're looking at the centers that are going, Eichel is too much of a talent to just not draw in this year, whether it's with Buffalo or someone else, likely someone else, but
I went the Nugent.
The Nugent.
New contract.
Love him.
He's got that left wing eligibility, which obviously helps.
That first line power play with the Oilers is just gold. He's always on it.
Mm-hmm. Best power play in the NHL.
Yep. All right. Hoping I can get my guy here. And I will. Let me see who's... I got 2 guys in the queue here. I'm going to take the one that's lower in ADP. Let me see here. Pardon me, higher in ADP.
I was going to say, that doesn't make much sense.
No, you're right. Okay, I'm going to take my guy. I talked about him on Must Draft Defenseman. It's Jacob Chickerin. I've finished out the
Is this where you're looking
spots.
for him? Jeez, 4 defensemen
Yeah.
in the first 6 rounds.
Yeah, I'll probably get a couple more for the bench too, but...
Is that like... Do you usually target defensemen early?
I'd probably definitely do 3 through 6 rounds.
Okay.
But with Chickerin still available, and I honestly have him ranked ahead of Jones. It's just like playing the ADP in the lobby here.
Yep.
I think you just start to see a bit of a drop off, right? Where if you can fill those in, and like you said, if you do think you have some diamonds in the rough, not 100 to 150 range for forwards that still have good spots.
Yeah. So here I'm going to go with a right winger. I think this guy's way too low in ADP, and it's Blake Wheeler.
Blake Wheeler. I think I'm really going to target a goalie here.
You like Winnipeg more this year, or just
I think Blake
Wheeler in general?
I like Wheeler in general. I don't understand in points or categories league how he could be. What round are we in now? The seventh round.
Yeah.
He's feels like a 4th or 5th round guy to me. Has potential for an 80-point season. Probably will settle in around 70, 75 points.
I wouldn't say quite that high, but I still like the pick there. And, he definitely has it in him. He's shown it in the past.
A little bit of a
Demko.
reach there with Demko. But I really do think that based off the goalies on the boards, if I'm going to get a number 1 goalie, I want him starting the bulk of the games.
Yeah.
Like Spencer Knight rated ahead of Demko. I don't understand that. Personally, you just don't know what to expect from Knight. Like, is he going to get, like, when you're paying a goalie ahead of him, one of the biggest contracts in the NHL.
Yeah, I know I'm high on Spencer Knight. It's actually a guy I want to target in here, but I get the idea behind Demko.
I feel like if Spencer Knight was your 2, like that's a good stat.
Yeah.
But as a 1,
goalies are flying now. We got Samsonov and Grubauer going after Demko. I guess Samsonov. Sorry,
I'm looking. Letang is a guy I've wanted throughout. I mentioned him in a previous show. I think
he's still out there. That's
he's
crazy.
still out there.
That
I'm picking him right now. I think he should
how
just
far
be
he's
with
going?
those other defensemen, not like
No,
Yeah.
yeah.
you know what I mean, a round or 2
100%.
earlier. Again, until Pittsburgh doesn't show it.
I think it's so crazy. Chris Letang going that late.
Just wild.
Like Charlie McAvoy. I'd rather have Chris Letang than Charlie McAvoy.
Yeah. And I think McAvoy has a reasonable ADP based on their team, but Letang's the guy I think that's just slipping that shouldn't be.
Yeah. A lot of people are pretty high on Saros this year.
Yeah.
With Nashville taking over that 1 spot.
Then, like I said, I'm high on Spencer Knight. I think he's got the talent to win out. They spent a 1st round pick on him. There's good reason for that. Like you said, I don't mind having, that as my typical 2 starters on a given week.
2-starter. I like that.
Shoring it up with maybe a 3rd, and there's other thing with goalies too. There's going to be roster movement throughout the season. There's going to be guys called up.
Yes.
If you're looking at the waiver wire, you're always able to kind of get a guy in a good matchup on any given week.
Yes.
Jason Robertson.
Are you going to stack him with Bob late, or are you just going to leave?
I think
alone?
it kind of goes against what I said, where I'm not as high on Florida as other people, but I want their goalies. Maybe it doesn't make much sense, but if Bob's there, I get the idea of, when Florida has good matchups, right? Like they're in a tough division, but if they've got, a good week or 2, love playing them. Torrey Krug,
I do like. He was going to be one of my must draft defensemen. The ADP suggests that he should be going earlier than this. He's obviously manning that PP1 on the Blues, who's been the same for a while now.
Oh, jeez. My guy, Nick Suzuki, got sniped for me here. But, yeah, good point on Torrey Krug, pardon me.
No, it's okay, Drew.
I'm going to go, again, with another injury-prone guy, maybe a big bounce back, and that's Tyler Seguin here for my 2nd right wing spot. So this is a very high upside team with absolutely no floor at forward here.
Avery goes with the rookie. Must have watched the must draft rookie episode.
Quickly before Avery, I guess, to win a league of 12, like you almost got to take chances like Drew. So even though I don't like the Stamkos pick, and I know I don't really like Chickerin where he is, I get,
picking the safety veteran,
taking Stamkos, picking Sigan, taking high-end guys. I don't mind that.
Snipes
I
me
love
on
Avery's
Nylander.
last 2 picks. I think we need to talk about Avery's team
On
here.
Nylander, he sniped me, and now I have 22 seconds to find a replacement.
The viewers are going to want to see Avery's face after this draft he's picking here. What a great team.
I'm going to go with...
So like Caulfield and Nylander, I think are just high upside.
Nylander
Say that with
in the
Nylander.
ninth round.
I mean, every year it's a similar-ish performance now. He's solidified on that second line with JT, I think.
Well, I did not get my pick in. I clicked it with 1 second left. I intended to go with Taylor Hall, but I auto-picked Mackenzie Blackwood.
That's the nature of the draft, though, Drew. Right? That's going to happen
30
on game
seconds
day
clock.
when you're drafting, right? You gotta get
Not
those
a good
picks in.
look. Not a good look, but you know
Any
what?
Russians you're considering, or
Mackenzie Blackwood, not a horrible pick, especially if he gets the bulk of the starts in New Jersey.
Yeah, I agree. I am going to go with someone I had on my must draft list as well, and that's Ryan Ellis.
Nice.
I really do think that he could have a great year with the Flyers. I think I'm feeling a little bit of a bounce back year from the Flyers. They got a good team.
Had I seen Ryan Ellis, probably would have gone with him. But as my first bench defenseman,
you're comfortable taking bench already? Because I was going to say I've got my 3 defensemen, and now is when my 3 defensemen, 2 goalies. I'm going to try and kind of fill out more of my spots, and then get some guys later. But
yeah, I think the lesson here is to always have one more guy in your queue than you have picks till you're up, right?
Yeah.
And pay full attention to your draft. But yes, I would take guys from my bench because there's going to be trades, there's going to be injuries, and there's going to be flex spots in a lot of leagues where you can put defensemen too. So,
So
107th pick, this guy's past his ADP. I was going to reach for him earlier, kind of coming in. It's Anzai Kopitar.
Nice
I think year in and year out,
Undervalued.
You don't necessarily have the upside anymore, but extremely undervalued. 50 points and 56 last year. Just under a point per game over the last 4 or 5 years, typically. Like on not a great team, still had a solid year. Start to fill in my centers. I love Kopitar at that ADP.
Like that pick?
okay. So Brody's up next here again.
Yeah, and I guess, I'm taking Taylor Hall unless he's taken.
Good pick.
Again, keep filling out my forwards. I think maybe a bit of risk because you don't quite know his position, but looked really solid in Boston once he came over, fit right in. I think they'll give him a role, obviously, a few years removed from an incredible season.
Yeah.
I guess I wanted to ask you guys as you're coming up, like your team's kind of getting more or less filled in now. You've got most of your slots. Does your strategy change at all? Like, because I know, again, I like trying to kind of get a few D early, similar to Drew. Now I like filling out.
I think I'm just like taking like the best player on the board, but if I think the value's like ridiculous, if not, then I'm looking for a certain position, and if I'm reaching, I'm reaching.
Yeah.
But, nothing's really a reach past you get a certain round. It's really based off what you want.
Yeah, I think you're in the spot now where if you deviate from ADP, you're coming up, you're pick 115. If you pick a guy 130, it's not like horrendous. You know what I mean? It's you're getting the guys you want at this point.
Yes, I agree. So I'm up here. I'm going to go someone who can sort of give a little bit of everything, and that's Neil Pionk.
Sure,
I think
defense a bit.
Morrissey sort of is on that PP1, but I really do think that could change. Like, I think that Neil could get there, but I needed also another third, kind of a rock there as my fourth defenseman.
Okay.
What are you thinking, Drew?
I'm on the clock here. I have no left wingers yet, so I'm going to have to go with the left winger, I believe. Lots of good options. Stuck between a couple guys. This might be a homer pick, but I'm going to go Zach Hyman.
I was going to say Hyman or Lane here. I love Hyman.
Just
depending on the
high
role he gets exactly. And
30 goal potential, 5-on-5 contributor. If he gets on the first power play.
High floor, and if he gets first power play, high ceiling, obviously.
Yeah.
Avery picks a goalie.
Who do you go with here? Ullmark. That's good if Rask doesn't play the whole year.
Last team without a goalie.
Blackwood, not really my goalie,
Fair enough.
but for this he is.
You're the no goalie strategy guy.
Yep.
There's no RB strategy guys in football, and you're the no goalie strategy.
Well, I mean, you got to go with goalies, but not in the top 100. That's what I'd say. Like, there's definitely goalies to target in that 100 to 175 range. But I'm going to go again here with a left winger. Deciding between two guys that could be in for bounce back seasons.
You also don't have a right winger, Drew, so you might want
Drew, you went defense heavy to start off this draft.
I have Wheeler and Sagan.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Oh,
Centers
true.
are McKinnon and Stamkos. Left winger is Claude Giroux.
Holy crap. You were pushing buttons there. Again,
Yeah.
almost missed your draft pick.
I was analyzing my team, forgot to make my pick, but yeah, I went with Claude Giroux. My backup plan was Teuvo Teravainen. I think he could bounce back, but more of an assist guy, and in a points league, you need some more goals. Claude Giroux gets the goals more than.
Yep. A couple guys I like here, a couple defensemen I like that I think I can get on the turnaround. So I am going to go someone I've been talking about, and that's Carter Hart.
Yeah, good pick.
And I talked about waiting for a goalie, but Carter Hart is someone I'm going to be targeting. If I could get Carter Hart even as my 1, and I get him in the 11th round, I wouldn't mind that.
I mean,
If I do the no goalie strategy.
he's just obviously it's super risky either way,
Yes.
like what we saw last year. If he rebounds and you believe in the Flyers, I get it.
Carter Hart, great
Yeah.
pick. Looking at the players still available, defenseman is extremely thin,
Yeah.
and forward is extremely deep.
And yeah, so I was hoping to get Vince Dunn there and kind of
Yeah, I saw
finalize my defenseman. That was the guy I'm higher on.
So we're here in the 11th round. There's not any good defensive options you're really comfortable with starting, but there's at least 5 to 10 of each of the 4 positions that are still high-quality contributors. So this is where I think it shows that you should take the defenseman early.
Yep.
Let me
Tony
see here.
D'Angelo goes. That was the guy I was hoping that gets around to me.
Yeah.
Shows where he's going right now. So
was gonna add him to
if you're
my
going to pick him, it's
bench.
probably in the 10th round to ensure you get him.
And so there I was struggling a bit. Like I said, I wanted Vince Dunn. D'Angelo was the next one I had up. I don't think it like we were saying, what's the strategy on goalies? You just take 2. I think Binnington, a bit of an up and down year last year,
Yes.
but if he's on, he's the starter of the Blues. Not too far removed from a Stanley Cup winning team. I know there's been some turnover there, but another guy that if things go right could go well. To kind of finish up the goalies for me, as opposed to getting Bobrovsky, just based on, ADP on Binnington, he was falling there. He's around 85 and able to get him at 130. Then on the turnaround, like Drew said, forward's pretty deep. There's lots of places you can go. I don't love this pick, but I think Patrick Laine is extremely rough year last
I was
year.
exactly looking at that.
It's high upside, and you're starting to get to the point. Like the reason I have no issue taking a guy like Laine here is if it doesn't work, you can drop him.
Yeah, I know.
Like
Yeah.
there's going to be a lot of waiver movement in
Especially at
any
forward.
fantasy hockey league. You were in the, it's a bit of draft capital, but it's not significant at this point, so I don't mind throwing Laine in on the mix.
That is a great pick. And he was pretty low on here. Like, just looking at the right wingers, he's still, ranked. Yahoo has him ranked as, the 14th right winger.
Yeah,
off the
well, I don't
board.
want to say great pick because, he could shit the bed.
Yes, he
But
could 100% shit the bed. But based off playing line 1 and PP1,
just like Carter Hart, different position, but it's high risk, high reward, right?
Yeah.
You said PP1.
I am going to go with a right winger here. And I'm looking at the board, and someone who pops off is Drew's guy, Kevin Fiala.
Oh, okay. Good pick. I really think that's a good pick. As I said on, I believe it was Sleepers, Kevin Fiala has 70-point pace and 70-point potential for sure. Okay, so let's see. I'm up next here.
I think I know who you're going to go with here, Drew.
I actually like a lot of people, and we're 8 rounds since I took Blackwood, and I like all these guys more than Blackwood. I'm going to go with Jacob Markstrom here.
Oh, well, that's your guy.
That is who I'm going to be targeting as my first goalie in a lot of drafts.
I do like Markstrom in the 12th. I think that's a great pick.
And I think it's interesting. You're kind of seeing, everyone but us. I know it's computers, but a big run on defensemen. And like you're saying, you're kind of getting in the spot where you're maybe a little more uncomfortable here. Everyone else going that way. Still viable goalies you're seeing on the board. Still starters on the board.
Yeah.
And, some first line, second line talent that gets power play time. So
Let's see who Avery goes here.
Jacob Slavin. Okay, so I got two guys here in my queue. I'm going to talk about both of them and make a pick within 20 seconds. It's Teuvo Teravainen, who I almost took last time, and then Sean Couturier, who I don't understand is still available.
I think it's because well, like you have Claude Giroux, so do you really want to? Are you going to stack that? Is that how much you like the Flyers?
Yeah, I'm going to go with Couturier. Okay. Yeah, I really like the Flyers' offense. 147th overall for Sean Couturier, who is a first-line center on one of the best offensive teams in the NHL.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had him in my notes as a guy to target at the ADP if he came around to me, so I think it's a good pick there.
And I guess Teravainen is just really falling because I guess he only had 15 points last year. So an injury season, maybe people don't think he'll bounce back.
So now I'm going into my bench here. I sort of like to take risk on players that I think have sort of potentially have a high ceiling, but really could shit the bed. And one guy who I think is a goalie, I'm going to go Chris Strieger. You look at his underlying stats, and he was really good last year. I don't think that the Seattle would commit to him without actually playing him this year. I really do think they're going to go committee style.
That obviously goes against the signing of Grubauer, but I know you've been saying that throughout, right? That you like Strieger, and you think, and I mean, other teams do it, so it wouldn't be out of the ordinary for Seattle to do some sort of 60-40.
Yeah.
So Horvat was who I wanted. Just he's second line center there, but he gets the net front on the power play. Where disappointing year for Canucks last year, but could see a rebound. Center is obviously the position I need to shore up. So, like you were saying,
and that's
maybe
what we
take some
talked
guys.
about, though, right?
Yep.
You said that you were going to wait on centerman because it is a
that's the thing. Yeah. So I'm picking between Pavelski, Ben. Strome, Jack Hughes,
Jack
all
Hughes.
guys that you could justify in this range. I think maybe not the highest upside, but go with Joe Pavelski here. I think part of one thing we haven't mentioned at all is in doing this, guys with multiple positions that they can play.
Yes.
Multiple eligible positions, you can get some extra value there too, just with flexibility on your team to move guys up and down your lineup.
Great point. My gosh, I'm looking at these players available, and I'm seeing more and more Flyers that I like.
I know one guy you really like, and I am going to completely snipe him off you, Drew.
Please, go ahead.
I took Mantha, by the way. I think, again, top six roll on the Capitals, Penguins, all those teams that are getting older. I don't want to give up on them yet. They brought him in for a reason where I think I like that top six.
They paid so much to bring him in, and then he was so bad in his limited number of games in Washington. They're probably going to be focusing on moving him more into the system, getting him on probably the other side from Ovechkin on the power play, and I really like that pick. But
we'll see.
His ADP is based on his terrible performance, but he's in Washington, which is not in Detroit anymore. It's a great pick.
You can kind of see here too. So 2-3 rounds of all defensemen, and then it's just shifted entirely.
I am going to go with Cam Atkinson here.
Damn.
Talked about him going late. I could potentially have gotten him in the 15th, but I think in the 14th you ensure that you're going to get him. Because if someone else is high on them, they're most likely taking them as well in this sort of area.
Again, we see here why it's so awesome to wait on winger.
Yes.
Because look at, you just got Cam Atkinson this late. There's so many good wingers available. I'm up here now. Damn. Teuvo Teravainen, and I guess I have to take him. Considered him 4 rounds ago. So that's another good winger to put on the bench there. Especially if he keeps up that connection with Aho. Really like Teravainen.
Yeah, people aren't as high on Carolina, I think, mainly with Dougie leaving, but I think they still have a solid team.
Yep.
Yeah.
I agree. Team 1 here. All right, Avery's back up. Let's see what he does here.
Avery went with Wenberg. Not sure I like that pick.
Not sure I like it either.
Okay, so here I'm considering, do I take a third goalie or do I take another winger for the bench? The goalie, I don't know if I'm going to mention it, but the wingers I'm deciding
have to
between
now.
are
Yeah, you have to
Borkstrand and
now.
Farabee. That's another flyer. But I'm going to go with the goalie, John Gibson.
There was a crazy stat about John Gibson and the season. Remember, Drew, we saw it on Twitter. It was
Yeah.
like they have the most non-back-to-back games in the NHL this year.
Yeah,
Anaheim
yeah,
and
yeah.
LA. So a lot of people are targeting both Gibson and
Gibson is right there with Markstrom in terms of guys that will get at least 70% of the starts and are going super late. So they'll probably be my goalies this year if I can get
Well,
them.
and he's a legit like top 5 actual goalie.
Yeah,
So
like,
if
his goals
I
against
think you're
average-
higher on the Ducks than most people too. So it definitely makes sense that if they turn it around and have an all-right season, like that's an excellent pick there.
His goals against average was 2.98 last year, but that doesn't show that he had the worst team in front of him in the NHL.
Yeah.
And really what this is about is volume of starts. So
with a homer pick here, but I'm going Stützle. I think Ottawa will surprise a lot of people this year. Stützle's going to get a lot of power play time. He looked good last year. He just needs to bulk up a little bit and stay a little stronger on his feet.
Well, he'll get every chance to succeed there,
Yes.
right? Like they want to make it work.
all right, we're seeing Arvidsson go off the board. Interesting guy now that he's in LA. And also Carter Verhaeghe.
Last slot. Do you have any sort of tactics when you're going for your last slot? Are you throwing a Hail Mary?
Well, I went with saying I was going to get all my defense filled, and I only have 3 of 4 here. So I'm going to take Ristolainen just as someone who may have. I mean, Ellis should be the PP1, but new
Could get you out of the
situation there.
category.
Like, I don't love it. I don't hate it. I think one thing going in this one more round after this is just waiver wire early in the season. Like, there's going to be a defenseman that gets power play time that's not taken, and just being quick with any of these last few picks to drop if someone's in a situation that, you know, we didn't think going into the year.
Colin Peterson.
Then going into my last pick here, a few guys I'm trying to just find.
Timo
Like,
Meier?
my thought on these last, if it's a bench guy and he's going to be a bench guy for a few weeks that you're willing to drop, I always try to just go, you know, take a guy in a good position on a bad team where Timo Meier, top 6.
Yeah.
We don't think San Jose is going to be good, but if they are, like, perfect. He can slot in at any time.
Love Timo Meier.
You had him? You wanted him?
I wanted him.
It's a good pick.
Timo Meier, too, last year, I have here 7.7% shooting percentage, so way under historical average, league average. Could rebound a little bit.
Yep.
So this draft's about to end here in the, what round are we in now? 18th round?
I'm looking at the defense board, and there's still a lot of good options. A lot of defensemen won't get drafted here. I know I think it's like those top end defensemen get picked, and then it's sort of like there's an area where there's just kind of a dry spell. But someone I like here is Noah Dobson.
Yeah. Also, Sandin and Byram are available. I consider them as definitely last bench spot flyers.
I think Dobson could have a great year this year with the Islanders sort of needing that offensive defenseman for that power play, which hasn't been historically that good.
Yeah, and Sandin was one I was considering there as well.
This is incredible. Joel Farabee is still available.
You love Joel.
Your boy.
You love the Flyers.
Love the
You're a
Flyers
secret
for
Flyers
fantasy.
fan.
No, I just love the Flyers for fantasy.
Drew has 9 centers and 7 Philadelphia Flyers on his team.
That's not true.
0 Russians.
But 20 goals last year, and that's a great pace. That's in 55 games, right?
Yeah.
And that's a 30-goal pace for sure in that top 6 in Philadelphia. I also considered Bertuzzi, one of my favorite players in the NHL.
Yep.
And then
Good
Puljujärvi and
Sudbury boy.
Sandin, who we've talked about as sleepers.
Yeah. All right. So that's the draft.
Should we go through each of our teams here?
Let's just go through sort of one pick you regret and one pick you really like.
Okay, go ahead. You want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first.
All right, so the pick I regret is probably Stamkos. I do love the upside, but there was guys like Stone, Elias Pettersson still available. Even John Tavares is a little bit safer for that second forward. The pick I really like, probably Markstrom. I like Markstrom a lot this year. Either Markstrom or Couturier. Couturier being my first bench forward, I really like that. Markstrom's a great anchor at goalie if you want to wait on goalie.
Yeah.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I think you hit on the spot. I was going to mention that Stamkos pick was probably something where you probably could have got someone maybe a little safer, but like Brody said, you took a lot of older guys, so 2 of them really pan out. Those are you're laughing.
Him and Sagan.
Yeah. One pick I regret is probably the Chris Strieger pick. Looking that Gibson went 2 rounds later and Chris Strieger would be my 3rd goalie, I think I'd rather just do a matchup base for Gibson, and whenever they're playing like a good matchup, I'll play them. Yep. And then my favorite pick is probably... I did really like getting Barkov in the middle of the second compared to early second.
We're big Barkov guys.
So, yeah, looking at that, like, where would you as it's coming around, where would you have picked Barkov would you pick him over Kane, Marner, once you're at Huberdeau?
I would probably pick Barkov over... I have Barkov and Marner, like head-to-head, like the same.
Yeah.
I think they're both going to be playing on a very good line. Obviously, Florida's line is dominant. Mm-hmm. But if I'm going to pick Barkov over Huberdeau, I'd probably go the 12 spot is probably the highest I'll go.
Yeah.
And just pick Barkov in one of those spots.
Yeah. I agree with Barkov's a great pick as like your first pick in the second round.
Yeah.
Like maybe first or second pick in the second round.
How about you, Brody?
So for me, I've been on the guy, Darnell Nurse in the 6th round. I reached a little bit just, as I keep saying him, when he was going 10th round earlier, made no sense. Taking him over Barry if Barry's PP1 doesn't necessarily make sense. So I think maybe a little bit too early, a little bit overzealous there. Pick I love is in the 9th round, Anzai Kopitar. Again, I think if you're going to go with a strategy like this and kind of load up on defense where it's tougher, you're going to need to find value later. And I think Kopitar is just steady and consistent year in, year out and provides such a good floor at the 9th round that, it makes up for maybe taking some draft capital so high on defensemen and can, provide that value there later on.
Absolutely.
Just with the consistency.
Yeah. All right, guys, great mock draft. If you want to see more mock drafts, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. We'll be posting these teams on social media, so make sure you follow at Cherry Pickin. Also, make sure you buy some Manscaped product. Using code BOX, you get 20% off and free shipping. And that's it from us.